President Paul Biya calls on Cameroonian youth to contribute their widow's mite in building a peaceful, united and prosperous Cameroon on the occasion of Youth Day celebrations. In this edition, get highlights of his message to the youth, plus their reactions. Some members of government engaged in dialogue with young people as part of today's Youth Day activities. The interactive platform termed Youth Connect Hangout allowed issues related to the youth to be addressed and identify multi-sectoral partnerships for their benefits. Over 5,000 Nigerian refugees at Minao camp laud Cameroon's legendary hospitality as they head back to their native land. This follows a tripartite mission to voluntarily repatriate them in a 12-point modalities signed by Cameroon, Nigeria, and the UNHCR. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this edition of the 7:30 News with me, Gladys Tata.
I have personally observed that most of our fellow citizens no longer comply with the protective measures prescribed by the government.
President Paul Biya has called on the Cameroonian youth to stay from anti-patriotism spirits which lead to destruction. President Paul Biya was speaking to the youth last night on the eve of the Youth Day, void of public organized events this year because of the coronavirus pandemic. Charles Ebune has key elements of the president's speech in this report.
Enough of the disorder, time for order at all the lead football governance bodies for one of the sports which brings nearly all youth together as the king game, football.
I want to call on Cameroonian football governing bodies to pull themselves together and restore order to their organization. It is only in so doing that we can create the best conditions for the sustained development of our football.
The sports world and football in particular dominated the president's this year's youth speech. Understandably so, because it was on the heels of this year's Cameroon Organized African Nations Championship.
Another event, the African Cup of Nations, Total AFCON Cameroon 2021, will take place in 2022. I have no doubt that it will be another opportunity for you to express your dynamism, talent, and enthusiasm.
Aware of the fact that 6 out of 10 Cameroonians are youth, President Paul Biya recalled their indisputable mission of their generation.
However, remember 2 years ago, under the same circumstances, I told you along the same lines that each generation has a historic mission to accomplish for the future of the nation. It is obvious that your mission today is the preservation of the peace, unity, and prosperity of our country, beyond the inescapable constraints due to the changes taking place in the world.
And because peace and national unity are inextricably linked to the perfect construction of Cameroon, models are needed to anchor the message better for the understanding of everyone.
If you embark on the conquest of the world, come back to build your country. Promote Cameroon like your compatriots, namely the physicist Arsène Stéphane Tema Biwole at General Atomics, the mathematician and computer scientist Tister Job Mvondo, who has just brilliantly defended his doctorate thesis at the age of 22, the writer Jali Amadou Amal, who, as you know, won the Prix Goncourt des Lycéens 2020.
The president counseled the youth to stay away from workers of iniquity whose only mission is to destroy because they belong to Lucifer.
Concerning national unity, some of you have unfortunately chosen to rally behind the demons of hatred and division. Driven by barbaric fanaticism, often whipped up and nurtured from foreign countries, or by a perverse use of social media, they try to undermine the foundations of the nation. They are anti-role models. I urge you to stay away from them.
This was the first major youth address by the President of the Republic, Paul Biya, in the COVID-19 context.
The president, in his address on the eve of Youth Day celebrations, laid a lot of emphasis on sports. He appreciated Cameroon's successful organization of the just-ended CHAN Total 2020, calling on sports actors to maintain the beautiful sports infrastructure for the 2021 AFCON. Baldwin Sama tells us more.
President Paul Biya, in his address to Cameroonian youths, began by appreciating Cameroon's successful organization of the just-ended African Nations Championship, which was an excellent opportunity to commune with young African sportsmen and women to showcase the vitality of the Cameroonian people.
On that occasion, Cameroon, which is renowned for its legendary hospitality, was up to the task. Thanks notably to the massive mobilization of its dynamic, talented, and enthusiastic youth.
President Paul Biya says CHAN 2020 offers young people from Africa and the world a wonderful sports and cultural festival, while emphasizing that 2021 begins on a positive note for Cameroonian youths as the nation prepares to host the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations in 2022.
Another event, the African Cup of Nations, Total AFCON Cameroon 2021, will take place in 2022. I have no doubt that it will be another opportunity for you to express your dynamism, talent, and enthusiasm.
In his role as father of the nation, the head of state called on football stakeholders to restore order in the country's football milieu.
I want to call on Cameroonian football governing bodies to pull themselves together and restore order to their organization. It is only in so doing that we can create the best conditions for the sustained development of our football.
By laying a lot of emphasis on sports and football in particular, the head of state the key role it plays in nation building.
In his traditional message to the youth last evening, the President of the Republic, His Excellency Paul Biya, implored the youth to work for the consolidation of peace and participate actively in nation building. In the report that follows, Ebenezer Akanga comes back to some of the key elements of the head of state's message and the task assigned to the youth.
Chers jeunes compatriotes,
my dear young compatriot,
President Paul Biya told the Cameroonian youth that each generation has a historic mission to accomplish for the future of the nation. That of the present generation is the preservation of peace.
It is obvious that your mission today is the preservation of the peace, unity, and prosperity of our country, beyond the inescapable constraints due to the changes taking place in the world. Peace is a prerequisite for progress.
Above all, the head of state urged the youth to participate in nation building.
Nation building is the responsibility of all of us. It requires a spirit of harmony and tolerance among citizens. I therefore urge you to cultivate the spirit at all times and to champion peace in order not to squander the opportunities that your country is offering you.
To effectively participate in nation building, President Paul Biya cautioned the youth to be pragmatic and persevering, not to yield to pessimism, to shun adventurous paths and those that seek easy gain.
The youth had ear only for the head of state's address on Youth Day Eve. They watched and listened with keen interest and said they took home a lot of advice from President Paul Biya, who urged them to step into the shoes of builders of tomorrow's country. Here are a few reactions from them, courtesy of Constantine Bomb and Beatrice Losamba.
When you listen to that speech, it's like a lovely and likely father who is making his address to his children. The head of state emphasized on peace and national unity as a key factor for our hope for the brighter future. At the same time, that hope can be spread out if our people, our youth, you as youth, handle our destiny by ourselves without violence, without going to those who appeal for destroying our own country, because this country is our only country we have. We have to build this country by ourselves and not to destroy it, because you cannot destroy your country and hope that you have a better future in the same country. But the head of state asks us to trust, you as youth, to trust in our country and build it ourselves, because we are the most important component of the society and we are the one who will last on that country as long as possible.
About 15 members of government engaged in frank dialogues with young people during the Youth Connect Hangout as part of activities commemorating today's Youth Day. With 180 youth members of parliament representing thousands more from their municipalities, the concerns of youths ranging from unemployment to insecurity in crisis-affected region were tabled to government for clarifications. Cynthia Saptala provides for us a summary of those exchanges in the following report.
It was the second time that youths were given this opportunity during their feast, engaging in open and frank conversations within the framework of the Youth Connect Hangout on issues affecting young people in their communities.
Given the fact that we are in a crisis situation, young people are victims. Apart from that, the economic situation of the region is completely down. I'm very, very, very happy with the exchange with the members of government.
My major concern was employment. On the entrepreneurial skills of the youth, we got the minister gave us a roadmap to get funds.
From unemployment to financial support for projects to education in crisis-affected regions, each member of government responded, outlining actions undertaken for the youths.
The questions were very diversified in all the domains concerning youth. All the ministries has a part, the policy concerning the youth policy. So the members of the government present gave good responses, and I hope that they'll be the ambassadors for their peers.
The interactive virtual and physical platform ended with recommendations for a greater involvement of the youth in the country's economic growth.
It was equally a colorful moment today at the Youth Village in Yaoundé, where youths displayed through poems, dance and singing their talents, preaching peace and living together. The activities took place in strict respect of barrier measures and the presence of some government officials. Joyce Tata captured the ambience of the close to an hour ceremony and put together the following report.
Well-coordinated dance steps of youths from different regions of Cameroon with one message on Youth Day.
We're encouraging the youth to work hard, because in our society is today only work pays.
The second sequence of the ceremony to commemorate the Youth Day celebration at the National Museum comprised of diverse presentations handled by youth in strict respect of barrier measures against COVID-19.
We are members of the Majorana University 1, and we are so proud to participate today to the Youth Day, and we have done our best to be able to dance and to celebrate it in the community, to remain proud of our youth and try to bring out our community.
The youth of the Cameroon must be together. You must keep Cameroon one and indivisible.
An enjoyable moment pulling the attention of onlookers who struggled to have souvenir pictures and videos. The youth displayed before top government officials and invited guests while spreading a message of peace, innovation and diversity to fellow youths for a better Cameroon in the years ahead.
And over in the littoral economic capital, Douala, the 55th edition of Youth Day was low-key as no major activities took place. Gladys Atemba Chechuma Banla now paints a picture of Youth Day in the city of Douala.
A Youth Day celebration like no other. For the very first time, the day is being observed without the traditional march past that used to characterize the event. The Beseke ceremonial ground in Douala, which used to be the major point of attraction, is deserted. There are no signs of students, authorities of the region, forces of law and other, and even the local population that used to turn out massively to watch the march past. Business persons who usually use the opportunity to do brisk business are absent. Although the traditional march past to mark the 55th edition of the National Day has been suspended nationwide, some schools in the city of Douala are using this 11th of February to observe the event on low-key. Some youths in the Douala 1 and 4 councils have equally been honored for their services to the public. It is the initiative of the brain behind the Duke of Edinburgh's award to encourage youth to carry out voluntary services for the benefit of all.
Northwest Regional Governor Adolf Lelela Frick has challenged youths in the region to redouble efforts in enhancing development in the region. He was speaking during the second edition of the Youth Excellence Award that saw the recognition of some 15 youths for their outstanding works in diverse fields. Carrying toast, the ceremony was part of activities to mark the 55th edition of the Youth Day that saw youths selected on the criteria of hard work. Her report.
Some of these laureates have over 10 years of experience and believe their hard work and commitment made them to merit recognition.
I have been into this for 15 years today. I cultivate carrot. From carrot, I bring it to wine. Watermelon to wine, and hibiscus, which we simply call folere. I bring it to wine, and then I take corn flour to biscuit.
Household equipment like beds, chairs. I do roof houses also. I have 4 apprentices.
Administrative officials have encouraged other youths to join in the development efforts in the region.
Asking to those that are still in the bushes to come out of the bushes to join hand with the other to develop the country. Asking those that are in school to learn their lesson to make us become an emerging country from the will of the head of state and from the will of the Cameroon people.
The laureates say with the right financial assistance to boost their production, they can play a major role in revamping the battered economy of the Northwest.
In the North region, Youth Day was marked by voluntary outdoor sensitization activities by youth and roundtable discussions, amongst others. These initiatives by the North Regional Delegation of Youth Affairs and Civic Education sought to galvanize the youth in the absence of the traditional march past. Details with Vanessa Vutnang Snamung of CRTV North reports.
Absence of the traditional Youth Day parade to showcase their love for fatherland did not discourage youths in the north. With handbills, many young people selected by the North Regional Delegation of Youth Affairs and Civic Education took to the streets, church houses, mosques, and marketplaces where they pasted messages and preached peace, living together, and loyal service to the nation. Other highlights of the day were around roundtable discussion to edify youths on this year's theme. Some youths of the regional capital also gathered at the Gara Youth Multipurpose Center, where they took part in the video conference organized in Yaoundé by the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Civic Education.
It was the follow-up of the plan of action for the youths in 2021 to carry out activities within their competence.
The 11th February 2021 in the North is recorded as successful thanks to the active participation in various activities by the youth across the region.
In other news, the timeline for the voluntary return of a wave of 5,000 Nigerian refugees hosted by Cameroon since 2013 has been set for February and March this year. This is one of the 12-point modalities signed in Marwa by the Tripartite Commission made up of Cameroon, Nigeria, and the UNHCR. The Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atanganji, headed the Cameroonian delegation. As you tell us, Kilianda Ndifon.
4,982 refugees from 751 families in the Minawao camp in Cameroon will voluntarily return to Banki and Bama in Nigeria. The Tripartite Commission, Cameroon, Nigeria, UNHCR has agreed on repatriation modalities in Marwa. In a 12-point modalities, the refugees must be well informed even as they voluntarily return. They must own houses, have unrestricted access by Tripartite Commission. Education must continue as they go back with material and financial mobilization by partners. Nigeria is most appreciative among the signatories.
We have seen the hospitality accorded to all of us, and we have seen the level of enthusiasm and commitment on the part of the Cameroonians in ensuring the endorsement of the resolutions of the technical working group.
Cameroon's commitment is unshakable.
I am here on the esteemed instructions of His Excellency President Paul Biya to work on the practical modalities of the repatriation of some 5,000 Nigerian refugees.
The voluntary return only points to one thing: home is home and normalcy is gradually assured.
Indeed, Kilian, home is home. And the Nigerian community in the far north region and the Nigerian refugees in the Minawao refugee camp have lauded Cameroon's legendary hospitality to the close to 7,000 refugees in the camp. They were speaking as the tripartite mission to voluntarily repatriate 5,000 of these refugees arrived at the Minawao refugee camp, spearheaded by Territorial Administration boss Paul Atanganji. Henry Tato Ekambi reports from the Minawao refugee camp in Marwa.
Cameroon's far north region is host to more than 103,000 Nigerian refugees, with close to 70,000 of them stationed at the Minawao refugee camp. These refugees will now see Cameroon as a second home, are full of praise for the nation's legendary hospitality.
We thank the government of Cameroon for hosting the Nigerian refugees today. Really, the refugees are happy for that, and we want to also recognize the effort of the Technical Working Committee on putting in place the necessary steps.
This camp that possesses more than 18,000 tent-made houses, a security post, health centers, schools and other basic facilities has proven to be some kind of safe haven for the refugees since its creation in 2013.
We are in good relationship with the host community. There is no problem. We are living in peace.
Though 5,000 Nigerian refugees have expressed their wish to return home, the Nigerian community in Marwa through their president Benjamin Ojiako also say they can't thank Cameroon enough for such hospitality.
I urge you once again to put on your face masks, to wash your hands regularly, and to consult a physician or any other health personnel if you notice any symptoms. This is the only way to save lives and to curb the spread of the virus.
During his traditional address to the youth last night, President Paul Biya talked about the respect of COVID-19 barrier measures that contributed in the successful organization of the Chan Total 2020. What do Cameroonians need to know about the virus and sports competitions? Let's join Baldwin Sama at the Public Health Emergency Operations Center with his guest, Dr. Joseph Fankam, with explanations. Hello, Baldwin.
Good evening to you, Gladys Tata. Indeed, if Cameroon succeeded to host this African Nations Championship, it's partly because Cameroonians decided to adhere to some of these anti-COVID-19 barrier measures. With our guest tonight, Dr. Joseph Fankam, who is a virologist, will look at how important this respect for these barrier measures are prior to upcoming future competitions. Good evening to you, Doctor.
Good evening, Baldwin.
When the head of state talked in his speech last night to Cameroonian News talked about the respect of barrier measures that contributed to a successful organization of the African Nations Championship, telling signs that these are important elements for successfully organizing future football competitions.
Exactly, Baldwin. We were very satisfied with the outcome of COVID-19 response during the last ended Chan competition. And why? Because beyond the testing approach that we had in place, that really enabled every team to be tested. If they were positive, they were treated. And once after treatment, we were confirming their testing. And for this reason, most of these countries went back with all their players being negative. But also, on the same line, Cameroonians going towards those matches, we make sure in the field we have hand sanitizers also in place. We also make sure we try to respect the 1 meter physical distancing. Even though this wasn't effectively respected, but at least the partial implementation of these barrier measures helps us in having very few positive cases from those watching those matches. And we believe from this very first experience, Cameroon maybe should be able to set up also examples for other countries who may wish to implement such competition within their framework.
Thank you so much, Doctor, for all those positions, and our wish is that all those who are lacking behind will join the ongoing train to continue respecting all these outlined barrier measures to limit the spread of COVID-19. Back to you, Gladys Tata.
For those updates, Baldwin Sama. And on to this advertorial, La Régionale d'Épargne et de Crédit SA has placed its 1,900,000 shares in the stock exchange market for potential shareholders to gain access to capital. This was made public by the Administrator and Director General of the Microfinance, Dr. Reverend Charles Rola Ombang Ekam, during a press conference that took place at the institution's headquarters here in Lonkak, Yaoundé. Colette Jani of CRTV Center completes that story.
Following the principles put in place by the Central African Stock Exchange, dubbed BIYA, La Régionale d'Épargne et de Crédit SA is now going public by placing its 196,000 shares in the stock exchange market.
We chose to go there. Why? For implement, for realize our vision. That is to make a bank who can be, let me say, a millennium bank.
Presenting this project to the press in Yaoundé, the administrator said La Régionale is maturing into a more mainstream financial role where the public will benefit financially and non-financially.
The first benefit they will have is to be proud. Yes, they must be proud to be shareholder of a bank. That is the first benefit. The other one, I say financial one, when you become shareholder, you are an owner. Then as owner, you can receive the fruit with the result of the bank.
The price tag for a share is 42,000 francs, a minimum acquisition of 5 with eased procedures.
It's too simple. Somebody could go in a branch of La Régionale, then there he will have only papers to fill, and then he can survive with his ID or passport and this. That is the first step. But somebody could go to our seat that is laregionalbourse.com, and you will have details of all the procedure of subscription.
Prominent for ethics, professionalism, and innovations for the past 28 years of its existence, La Régionale have scheduled the subscription period from the 9th to the 26th of February 2021. The objective is to get the microfinance acquired a sum of 15 billion CFA francs that will permit it to transform into a bank.
Well, and it is on this advertorial that we draw the curtains on this edition of the 7:30 News. Thanks for watching. Join Aldel in under 30 minutes for the news in French. I'll be back same time next Monday. Until then, the technical crew join me in wishing you a pleasant weekend. Good night.
Despite our efforts, COVID-19 plunged many families into mourning and seriously hampered the functioning of our economy and society.
CRTV News, ici, toute l'info.